pretty good investment.
So as somebody, going back to the conversation, as somebody that's been in talks for a billboard, they're not as inexpensive as you might think. Yeah, they're I don't know. I had a lot of inaccurate assumptions about what a billboard would cost, and when they come in, they give you a giant portfolio. Like, you need to get 6 billboards. We'll rotate them. This is going to be a 2-year contract. This is going to cost you thousands and thousands. And it was interesting when you're trying to skinny that down, and then when you finally agree, all right, I'm willing to spend 10 grand on billboards, right? Then you go, how do I track this ROI?
Yeah.
Right? So you're sitting there and you're like, how do I guess? Is it impressions? Is it brand recognition? We have a logo. People kind of know that logo, right? Our logo's on the side of a building. What is the value, right? And their sales model's interesting because it didn't convince me at all.
Yeah.
And this isn't saying anything negative at this saleswoman that I was talking to or anything, but like we were driving in the car and she's like, well, this many thousand people pass this every day. This many people see this. I'm like, do you have like actual ROIs of people that said, yes, I saw your billboard and I was like, I need IT.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this and this is what I was like, that's it. This is the billboard, right? And they're like, well, we don't really track that. And I'm like, why would you not track that if this is what you're selling?
But it's so hard. Like, especially in marketing, attribution is probably the hardest problem to solve. Even in like the digital age, it's still really hard. Consumer packaged goods only attribute 8% of their revenue towards marketing. But it's still a huge part of their budget is advertising and marketing, which is crazy that you would.
But you're just throwing money into a well and you hope that it works, right?
Yeah, you hope that it works. Yeah, and so like even social media advertising last year was $67 billion. But that's just because people are on Facebook trying to guess at what works and what doesn't.
But my argument against that is that, again, as somebody that's looking at marketing, you at least get clicks. You get legit impressions that are tracked. Like you can't track that with cars.
No,
right?
no,
And you can't. Like, you also can't verify that somebody's going to look at something, and then there are arguments to be made that somebody's not looking at they're just scrolling past it, and that's counting. But like, at least you have some tangible numbers to hold, right?
Yeah, and even more for that. When you're riding with somebody, where are they looking? They're looking down at their phone,
right?
Not out in the sky.
Yeah, but like on the flip side of that, I will say that I look at billboards when I drive, because I can't look at my phone. If I could reliably look at my phone, then I would, but I can't. Kind of going back to, we need that driverless car like yesterday for me to do my work while I drive.
Yeah,
but
I'm excited for that.
I'm super excited for that. But until we have that, I am looking at billboards. So there's some value, but trying to sit down with somebody and understand, well, this is what your ROI is. And obviously, you'll never have a perfect ROI on billboards. You'll never have a perfect ROI on social media. But I feel like if you had better analytics, you can then at least say this has a higher probability of working, right? And I think that's where you're coming in.
Yeah.
That's how I am as the non-AI professional. Let the record be known.
Yeah.
I don't work in AI all day. I look at your product and I'm like, okay, this helps marketers get something that has a higher percentage chance of winning. Right?
Yeah, so there's so many different pain points that we're touching on that I'll just kind of start going through.
Yeah, go for them.
So your market research, your strategy and research team will go out and spend tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars collecting data to figure out who the best customer is.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have the highest spend. This is how we're going to contact them. This is what we need to be positioned as. And then your communications team just says, I don't care about that. I just want clicks.
Yeah.
So they'll just do this champion versus challenger model where they'll initially start off with something that is targeting this optimal customer, and then by the time that they've picked the best ad, they're somewhere off. So they're just completely disregarding that tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars that you just spent to figure out who it is that you need to be selling to. But then also, like I had mentioned before, depending on the size of your organization, you'll be spending anywhere from $300 to $3,000 a week in advertising just for one variation. So if you run multiple in parallel, you're talking about spending tens of thousands of dollars a month just figuring out which Facebook ad works best.
Right.
But if you could just kind of skip all that and just say, well, out of these 4 that I've created, this one's going to do the best. Here's how well it's going to do. And then also we do suggestions on how to rephrase things to better engage.
Yeah.
Same thing with images. If you change out your creative to be this way, then you'll do even better. And you're still focusing on that target customer.
Yeah, and so basically you take, let's say you have 3 images, you take them in, you plug them in, and the AI goes, that one's best, but you know what would make the best one even better?
Is if he did something like this.
If he did this,
yeah,
right.
It describes to you in text form, hey, like maybe if you're a beer company, it's spring, summer's coming up, you want to advertise your company, is it like a backyard barbecue? Is it a group of friends sitting around a campfire? Is it a bunch of college kids at a baseball game? And it will tell you, maybe it's a backyard barbecue with people drinking bottles of beer.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be using.
So where are you getting your statistics for all that?
Yeah, so we are constantly mining data on social media. So we put a couple million posts into our database every day.
Okay.
And so we look at how people engage with that. But what's interesting is when you do you would think you're just evaluating what that post is, like what type of emotion that post has. But we're actually looking at what type of emotion that elicits from your audience. So how is your audience engaging?
Yeah.
So we're putting our AI in the shoes of your audience.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, they're gonna like it this much. They're gonna have this much emotion. Like, do you want to go for this really enthusiastic audience, or do you want this FOMO, fear of missing out type of audience? Like, what type of emotions are you trying to elicit from them?
Yeah.
And that's what you're getting when you show this advertisement to our AI.
Okay.
And of course, the best thing about that is it's just a snap of a finger and you got your results.
So the AI will actually say okay, this ad is clearly centered around keeping up with the Joneses, right? Or this ad is just saying brand recognition, something like that. So you have kind of different buckets that you put detail into, and then it says, hey, was this what you were going for? Yeah. Kind of? Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. So let's say hypothetically we had a studio, right, that had several ads that ran. You could basically say, all right, this ad will pop more because you're looking for creative people. They're looking at color, contrast, and whatnot. This is what we'd suggest here. And if you want them to click on this because they don't want to miss out on an opportunity, this is the kind of promotion you'd put on and whatnot. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. So you're constantly mining data. You're constantly updating the database. You're constantly showing it different pieces of artwork that and how people worked with it. Yeah. Do you track conversations started based on it then too? Is that kind of
yeah? Okay. So we look at these conversation trees of when you comment on, or these conversational threads on different posts. So Reddit's a great example where somebody comments one thing and you just see this trailing tree of different comments, and so we take that into account, that network of how people are communicating and what kind of drives that. So we look at what type, not only the number of comments you'll get, but what type of comments will be elicited from what you just said. Okay. And we put that in context of what you're talking about as well.
Okay. So do you have anyone that comes at you with questions like, you're taking people's data, or you're using data without permission? Because in my world, it's from a more data protection, cybersecurity standpoint. We're all about your data's fine, but if you do put data out into the world, anyone can get access to it. And that's really what you're doing. You're scrubbing data that people are publicly putting out there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So we're not trying to hack into your computer. We're not trying to learn about your family. What we're doing is we're just looking at how you're talking to different people, and we're just kind of taking notes and saying, yeah, that makes sense that person would kind of have that opinion about something. Okay. We're not trying to invade your privacy. We're just looking at how you talk to your friends.